I am joined by a very special guest, a man who played more than 100 times for both West Ham and Bournemouth, and then went on to manage both clubs. He also managed the likes of Spurs, Portsmouth and QPR, among others, in a stellar career. And I guess you must have worked it out by now. If not, he was the king of the jungle as well. It's worth pointing that out. Harry Redknapp joins me. Lovely to see you, Harry.
Good to see you, Gary.
How are you?
Yeah, all good.
Yeah?
All good, yeah.
Good to have you on the podcast. I hear you back in management.
Yeah, busy, managing a team again for Specsavers, and it's Tunley Athletic this year. I managed last year, I managed Albion, which was near Swansea. Yeah. That was interesting. That was my first, ever having a go at doing this, and I had some great fun. I mean, I loved every minute of it, honestly. And to get a win, we actually won a game, the last game of the season.
When you say actually won a game, that's because you're coaching a side that are completely hopeless.
They'd been, it was tough. But that last game of the season, I can't tell you, I was as excited as I could ever have been. I mean, it was ridiculous, really.
Yeah.
But I did end up saying, listen, what's happened, really? I looked round. I mean, we played on this shocking pitch. The facilities were diabolical. I mean, I wanted to have a wee halfway through the game, and there were no toilets anywhere. They said, no, there's nothing here. It was just a field with no changing rooms or anything, And
you find a tree somewhere.
Behind a tree, one of them jobs. And I said, I've come from White Hart Lane or Upton Park to San Siro and the Bernabeu, and I've ended up here. What's happened to me, But we had a great time.
Yeah. If you're trying to help players at that level, how does that differ from managing players at the top level? I imagine it's slightly more challenging.
It was difficult, but I mean, I just gave them some simple instructions, really. I said, look.
Just boot it.
Boot it. You're spot on. I said, don't think you're Franz Beckenbauer or Bobby Moore. They probably hadn't heard of them people anyway. They were too young. But I said, look, when you get it up there and let them they'll make mistakes. The centre halves they'll mistrap it and we'll go through, we might get some chances, So that was it, really. Basic. Get it forward. Don't mess about.
Yeah. What was the reaction like, perhaps, not necessarily your team, because they'd have known you were coming along, but about when you go and play somewhere and they see, that's Harry Redknapp.
Oh, no, the last game, Gary, when we got the win, I mean, we went 2-0 down and they had a guy playing for them and he was a bit of a lad, he had the tattoos all over. And he loved himself. I think he thought he was Jack Grealish, he had the Grealish headband. And then he comes running over to me on the touch like, Harry, where's the cameras, son? Where's the cameras? 2-0, where's the cameras? Oh, really?
Cocky.
And then we won 3-2. I went, oh, big mouth. Yeah, come over here. I went, the cameras are here, let's have a look. Yeah. And he come over, he said, I made a mistake there, didn't I? I said, yeah, you did a little bit. You were too, Yeah. But he was good as gold, but they were great lads. I had a real good time with them all.
Yeah. What about the opposition coaches? Were they intimidated at all?
Yeah, well, I don't know. They like to show. I've been down that road, We're in a different. Back in the day, I went to Oxford City with Bobby Moore, and it was a difficult time. I found the managers of the other team. I thought they'd be, it's Bobby, Once the game started, they sort of had an attitude about them, It was like they really, wanted to get one over on you. And
jealous. Jealous,
strange. And so I found it was a bit like that last year. The other managers weren't, it was, how they got him, who do you think he is? We beat them. And and they normally did beat us, but we did get one result at the end anyway.
Did you manage to bring in any ringers?
Yeah, we got a couple, Got a couple late on.
It was Defoe and Peter Crouch.
No, we managed to sneak a couple in late on, Defoe and Crouchy. That would have been good. But no, I mean, my first game, I turned up, Gary, at Albion. So they bring me into they make up a dressing room area where they're going to bring the manager. Danny's going to come in and he doesn't know. They know they've won the award with Specsavers. And they know they've got an ex-manager coming in, Premier League manager, who's going to help them. And he comes in, Danny, and they sit him down. Hey, Danny, they said, I bet you can't believe it. You knew you had a manager coming. You've got Harry Redknapp coming to help you. And he said, I was hoping it was going to be Brendan Rodgers. And I thought, that really deflated me a bit to start with. And then the first game, we're getting beat, I think 8-0 after about 55 minutes. And I said to Danny, take him off the centre half. He's useless. He can't run. He's had it. Get him off. Oh, I can't take him off. I said, he's useless. He can't run. Get him off. He said, no. I said, why can't you take him off? He says, my dad. And his mum, she makes the tea, washes the shirt. She sits behind knitting all through the game. And so he couldn't take his dad off. Otherwise, he got no dinner tonight, you know, so he had to leave him on.
Brilliant.
So it was good. It was good fun.
Sounds a lot of fun. What about grassroots football? It's so important to our sport, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. But Gary, the facilities are so poor. No money's put back in, is it? You know, the money at the top. I always say if the big clubs could just, you know, give so much to local communities and improve facilities for the kids and the whoever plays Sunday morning footballers, whatever, because the facilities are shocking, aren't they? Yeah. I go and watch a lot of kids football, you know, and I wander around Sunday, I might take my dogs for a walk and end up watching a game over the park. And the pitches are shocking, really, you know. Something needs to be done to improve it.
Change our climate.
Change the climate would help, yeah.
That would help.
Yeah.
I mean, the one big change, I don't know about what you think from when you played and I played, the quality of pitches at the top level now.
Oh, crazy.
The one thing I'm envious about, you forget the money and all that, but the pitches, I mean, how do they miss?
I know, it's unreal, isn't it?
Yeah.
But, you know, when you look at the old videos back in the day, you know, I'm a bit being an apprentice at West Ham and clearing the pitch of snow, trying to clear, but couldn't clear it. So I ended up when they marked the lines in orange paint or whatever, and the game went on. And you played on the snow, you played on anything, didn't you? The games just went on, ankle deep mud.
Yeah, I showed my lads a video actually of I saw it on YouTube that when I played with a pitch that was completely flooded and boggy and they went, you used to play on that?
Yeah.
And they said they all think now because the pitches are pristine. Perfect.
And back in the day at West Ham, they used to have a band. And then they'd be on the pitch hour and a half before the game, and they'd stand there stamping their feet, playing. And that area was just, by the time we got to September, 6 weeks in or whatever, it was just ankle deep mud where the band, and even on bad days, they still allowed the band to go on the pitch. Now you tried, you know, you go there as working for the BBC or whatever, you try stepping on the pitch, there'll be someone throwing you off straight away. You know, you can't put 1 foot on the pitch now.
Absolutely. I remember the band, they used to play at Wembley as well before England games. All the time, the band used to come out, gather in the warm-up.
Yeah.
He went, I'm going for the tuba.
No,
and honestly, he'd hit one and knock the...
it's shocking. Don't gather.
Or the trumpeter or
I can imagine.
Whatever it was. Harry, just tell us a little bit about Tunley Athletic and how bad they were, and have you improved them? And
well, I must be honest, Gary, they were a little bit better than I expected. You know, you really do fear the worst when you go. We played the other week. We were down in Bristol, and we didn't do too bad. We got beat 8-1, but it was quite honestly, it was quite encouraging.
Bad, that was encouraging.
Yeah, it was quite encouraging. I thought, hang on, there's something to work on here with this lot, you know. Not a lot to work on, but something.
Is it easier improving a top-class player or improving someone that's, let's say, pretty abject?
I don't know. I think it depends how much they want to listen and learn in it as well, you know. But
and do you find they have with Tunley Athletic this season? Obviously, you don't want to give too much away because the series coming up. But can you improve players at that level?
Yeah, I think for sure. Yeah. I mean, you know, just getting them in positions and a little bit of understanding, doing a little bit of shape with them, you know, rather than just all charging up the pitch at the same, you know, as a team, you can certainly improve them, getting a little bit of shape to them and, you know, telling the midfield players that, you know, they've got a role to play when we don't want to be chasing it. So when it breaks down, at least we're not just going to keep running through us. We know, you know, they're attacking our back four, back whatever, you know. So yeah, I think you can certainly help them, and they enjoy it. I mean, they're very open to, you know, they enjoy you being there with them. I think, you know, I've had great fun. They've all been smashing lads to be around. I've had a real good time with them.
So it's called the best worst team.
Yeah,
do you think you can make them into the worst best team?
Yeah, but the thing with the best, you know, is that they're good. They're a good club where all the players turn up.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, and the people that run the club love the club. And that's how it is with Tunley. They're all keen. They all turn up every week. They've always got 11 players, you know, Not like back in the day where sometimes you turn up and the team's only got 8 men or something. These all want to play. They love playing. Even though they get beat every week, they enjoy being part of the club.
Yeah, well, if ever there's a team that needed Specsavers, it sounds like
It's totally, yeah.
I want to talk about football management,
Yeah.
Gary, because you've had such an amazing managerial career. Let's start with, when did the interest in the coaching side sneak in?
Gary, it started early for us because at West Ham, when I grew up there as a young player, Ron Greenwood he got us all into schools coaching. So we used to go into schools in the Newham area. We used to get £2.50 an afternoon. As soon as we finished training, we'd all go dashing off to our schools. Trevor Brooking would be in one school and Frank Lampard and we all went to different schools coaching the kids. And it was great because we'd play each other on a Wednesday afternoon at my team. Pretoria School would play, St Bonaventures, who was coached by one of the other lads, and it was great,
I presume you mean Frank Lampard Senior.
Senior, for sure.
People will go, hang on a minute, they're a different age.
No, Frank Senior.
Yeah,
because actually we ended up at Pretoria School in Canning Town, me and Frank. It was a school that Frank went to, Frank Senior, and it was a school that, it was a proper tough school in Canning Town. I mean, it produced lots of good boxers. One or two bank robbers, I think. It was one of them schools.
But probably ended up as a chairman.
Also a few footballers. It was a tough, but it was great. We loved every minute of it, and so we got into coaching then, and we all did he got us all to do our coaching badges at sort of 21, 20. It was all. Wow. That was Ron Greenwood. Yeah. I mean, he was an incredible football coach, Gary. He every day was something. He'd put on sessions that were amazing, really, and still. To this day, people would still be doing after stuff that he brought into the game, A bit like we were talking about Terry Venables earlier. He was one of those guys who had I went to Lillyshaw as a 15-year-old. We all went to Lillyshaw back in them days, pre-season. Every club sent its apprentices there, and there'd be kids from all clubs. And
for our younger listeners, Lillyshaw is basically how
Lillyshaw was like St George's Park was. And you go and you're coached by different coaches from different clubs. And I'd only just been at West Ham like 5 weeks. And all pre-season we were working on overlapping fullbacks. And I've gone to Lillyshaw and someone passed me the ball and I'm saying to the fullback, come on. What are you doing? I said, well, I want him to overlap me. And I know it sounds silly. And he said, well, when I get the ball, I drive in. He comes around the back of me. We make 2 against 1 on the fullback. Oh. He went that night and spoke to the other coaches, and the whole session was Ron Greenwood. Fullbacks used to stand on the halfway line and weren't allowed to cross. They stand there, waiting for the ball to come. Suddenly we had attacking fullbacks making 2 against 1 overlaps, and that was Ron. Near post runs, Jeff Hurst, where Jeff scored all his goals. Martin Peters at West Ham, and that was all Ron Greenwood's work. Pulling away, leaving space, attacking space, taking defenders away to leave the space that you want to attack, which you did so well over the years. But that was Ron. That was because before that, centre forwards would stand there, you'd hang the ball up, and they'd just try to jump above a centre half and head a goal. Suddenly Hursty was getting movement that people couldn't mark, and Martin Peters. But that was Ron Greenwood's work on the training ground. So we were brought up really with amazing coaching. And ideas every day was exciting to watch him, and be part of it.
Your first role was in North America, wasn't it?
I went out to America, I went out to Seattle. I left Bournemouth when I finished at Bournemouth. I went out to Seattle Sounders. Went out with a mate of mine, Jimmy Gabriel. Jimmy played at Everton back in the day in the cup-winning team for Everton. Jimmy was a great midfield player, Scottish international. And Jimmy went out to America, played the first year, and then became the coach of the Seattle Sounders. And I went out there with Jimmy, and they were great times. We played in the King Dome. My first game there, I went over with Bobby and Jeff Hurst. We all went to Seattle together. And our first game, we played the New York Cosmos with Pele. We opened a new stadium, 66,000 all-seater stadium in Seattle. And Pele and Beckenbauer, Carlos Alberto, the right back of Brazil, was incredible player. They was all at the Cosmos at that time, so it was great times.
Can I ask you about Bobby Moore? Because obviously he left us way too young. World Cup winner with England, truly great footballer. What was he like as a person? I met him once. I was lucky enough to meet him once, but I obviously didn't get to know him.
No, it makes me go, yeah. I couldn't tell you how much I loved him, Gary, as a person, he was just incredible, man. You know, he was just class. He was just so special. Everybody, you never met anybody in football who didn't love him. You know, you'd meet Norman Hunter, who if it hadn't been for Bobby, would have won 50 more caps. You know, Norman played left-sided centre-half for Leeds, you know, was a great player in his own right. But Bobby kept him out of the team all them years. But not every time I used to see Norman, and I did my coaching badges.
Norman bites your legs,
Yeah,
Hunter, isn't it?
but Norman would say, you know, as Morrow, Alan Ball, they loved Morrow, Mike Summerby, Ozzy, Peter Osgood, all them great players. They all idolised Bobby because he was just so special. He just had a lovely way with him. You never saw him kick any. He played the game, Gary. He'd play, read the game. If you'd have gone and watched him play, you'd have come back. I said, do me a report on Bobby Moore. We're looking at him, and what do you think? You'd have come back. I said, how big is he? He said, well, just under 6 foot. You know, is he? Not very big with a cent, you know. Good in the air? No, he can't hit it. Is he quick? No, he's got no pace. You go, okay, bosh, that's the end of him, you know. But he had a football brain. You know, he used to go up with a centre forward, make out the challenge, and centre forward would jump, Big Win Davis or Ron Dake, the great headers of the ball. They'd flick it on. Bobby had dropped off 10 yards, catch it on his chest, you know, and play. He was a yard in front of everybody in terms of his reading of the game. And as a person off the pitch, as I say, he was just special. We all idolised him.
What's the biggest difference between playing for a team or managing a team?
Big difference, Gary. I mean, you take all that responsibility when you're the manager, you know, and
It affects you more?
Oh, it affects you badly. When I look back at how low I used to get, it's quite scary, really. You know, you don't realise what you're going through because there was no help or care. You know, you're pretty much on your own. But and when things were, especially when I was at West Ham, having the early days, having been in relegation battles, and you know the crowd are not happy with you, and not happy with the team, and
how difficult is that when you know, things are not going well for you? You obviously desperately want them to improve, and the fans are on your back, and it's always the manager's fault.
Of course. Always the manager cop. No, I'd gone from having like 9 years at Bournemouth as manager and never had a minute's problem, you know, and then suddenly having a bad time at West Ham early, and it was difficult.
You start questioning yourself.
Yeah, you do, of course. Yeah, you do. You think what, but you feel everybody's. It's strange, you know. You could go out into you feel everybody's looking at you and talking about you, and you're driving your car and the bloke stops next to you at the lights and you think, what's he saying? Like, it was horrendous, really. When you paranoid, really. You feel responsible for the club, for this, you know, the teams. They love their club. There's all them people who come every week, paid, and you're letting them down, and you're taking it on you're taking it on the chin, basically, aren't you? And the players, I mean, the players get on with it, don't they? Still, I know we all go home when you're a player. We've all been players. We all get disappointed, but you get over it quite quickly. You know, the next day, Sunday comes and you're ready to, but when you're the manager, I mean, it's there non-stop, isn't it? You know,
24/7.
24/7.
Even when it's going well, I imagine it's just there'll always be something happening.
Always. Every day there's an issue. Yeah. Every day you go in, you're responsible for all them players, aren't you? You know, I met someone recently, Dal Gordon, who played for me back in the day at West Ham. I went to Dubai with my wife and bashed into, and he was talking about the Christmas party that we're in the bottom three, and suddenly I get a word that the players have organised an open-top bus from the training ground to the West End of London with a jazz band on top playing, you know, and drinking, you know, and you think, we're bottom of the league. I said, do you realise them people pay your wages? They're going to be, them blokes digging the roads, they're going to be throwing bricks at you. Then people are going to come out the shops, but the players, they're oblivious to it, you know. Yeah. Well, we thought we'd just
stop it?
Yeah, oh yeah.
You did.
Yeah, stopped it, yeah. So, yeah, definitely stopped it. But they probably still went out somewhere, didn't they? You know, I did it at Tottenham. I said there'd be no Christmas parties, you know. I said, we're going well in the league, we're second. There's not going to be a Christmas party this year. The lads can have they can enjoy their summer holidays and enjoy. What I didn't know, they'd gone out the night before. and there was a picture of Ledley. I've said all this on the TV, and there's a picture next to have Ledley King laying on the floor, a bit worse for wear, in Dublin. They'd all been to Dublin the night before I banned the Christmas party, so I was a bit slow off the mark there.
Do you lose it in those circumstances? Can you, like...
Yeah, Robbie. I think Robbie organised it, Robbie Keane. But I mean, I love Robbie Keane as a player, as a person, and so and you need them, don't you? At the end of the day, so you've got to, you can't.
Do you have to think about that, like in terms of management side of things? It's sometimes you need to reprimand a player because he's been out of order, like going to Dublin, for example, without permission or something. But then also you need them in your team.
Yeah.
So it must be a constant, like, you go home and think, right, how do I deal with this?
Oh, I had it with Paul Merson. I mean, Merson. I've got Merson at Portsmouth, and I signed him 3 days. I took over a terrible team at Portsmouth my first season. They finished in the bottom six, previous 4 seasons, escaping relegation. I thought, what am I doing? I've got no chance here, In fact, a mate of mine rang me, I swear to God, he rang me up and said, Harry, I'm going to have a grand on your team at 33-1. I said, Alan, we are useless. I said, don't waste your money. I said, we'd do well not to get relegated. I said, if I can finish out at the bottom 6, I'll be delighted. Anyway, I signed Merson on the Thursday before the season. John Gregory rang me and said, Harry, look, would you fancy Paul Merson? I said, we can't afford him, at Portsmouth. I said, what's he on? He said, he's on 20 grand a week. He said, what can you pay him? I said, 3 grand. He said, well, okay, we'll pay 17. You take him. He said, I just want to shift him. I need to move. I need to move him, And I brought Merse in. He changed everything. He was so good. I made him captain, number 10. He ran the games. Every week he scored or he made the goals. And suddenly we start the season well, and off we go, and we're top of the league. And we get to Christmas, and like
your mate's going...
my mate, he never spoke to me again because we actually won the league, right? So it cost him 33 grand, plus his each way back 40 grand. And that was the end of our friendship. But Merson is just destroying the league. No one can deal with him. He's playing balls and he's scoring goals. And then he comes to me, we play Man United away, 3rd round of the FA Cup. We're top of the league, championship. Merson comes to me, we get beat at Man United 4-3, play ever so well, get beat by the odd goal, great game. He comes to me on the Monday, he said, Harry, I've got a few problems, He said, I said, what's the matter, Merse? He said, well, I've been gambling a lot and I've been drinking and my missus caught me with another woman and got whatever. He said, can I go to Tony Adams' clinic for a week, 10 days, and they sort me out? I said, yeah, no problem, Merse. Go away. He said, well, we play next Saturday, Millwall. If I go away after the Millwall game, he said, can I come back the Wednesday week, 10 days? I said, yeah, no problem. We play Millwall on the Saturday, beat Millwall 5. Merson gets a couple of goals, runs the game. Away from home, we win at Millwall. He's gone now. On the Monday, he's gone to Tony Adams' clinic. On the Thursday that week, I get a phone call from a mate of mine called Michael Tabor. Michael owns Sandy Lanes and whatever. So Michael rings me, Harry, I just seen one of your boys having a chat with one of your boys. I said, oh no, what's the matter, Michael? I said, who? He said, Paul Merson. I said, what's the matter, Michael? I thought Michael must be in the clinic with him. He went, what do you mean? I said, well, he's in Tony Adams' clinic. He said, he's not, he's on the beach in Barbados. I went, no, it can't be Merson. He said, I know Merson. He said, I had a chat with him. He said, he's, good lad. He said, he looks well. Now, what do I do? We're top of the league, January, right? Portsmouth never been anywhere near the Premier. I'll be honest, I'm going to sack him. No, he's took a little bit. I'm going to sack him on the Thursday, Friday, I'm going to sack him. Saturday, I'm going to sack him. Sunday, I think, if I sack Merson, we can't go up. The players loved him. I loved him. The crowd idolised him. So Wednesday comes and he comes back into training, on the training ground. He's got the best suntan I've ever seen. It's January, right? Comes up, all right, Merse. He said, I feel a lot better, Harry. Thanks for that. I said, all right, Merse, no problem. Anyway, on the Saturday we played. We won 2-0 on the Saturday, got both the goals. He probably done him more good going to Barbados.
Probably
and going
did, yeah.
So he stayed to the end of the year, won the league, and I released him at the end of the season.
About the sunbeds at Tony Adams'
Oh,
clinic,
don't. I mean, but as you say, that is what do you do? I could have.
So you manage individuals in a different way.
Of course,
you have to, don't you?
Yeah. I mean, like we talked about Terry earlier, wasn't we? Terry Venables. I mean, how fantastic was Terry?
Amazing. I
loved the documentary about it. What a football man! What a character! Fantastic. But with Gazza and all the boys. When they went away before the Euros, I mean, he had
the dentist chair.
Dentist chair, or he could have easily gone, well, you took a liberty, you're out of, but yeah.
It's managing different kinds of...
Of course it is, yeah, everyone's different, aren't they? Yeah.
You seen the story about the Lopetegui thing that's rumbling on this week?
Yeah.
With West Ham. I'm just bringing that up because you mentioned West Ham earlier, and obviously you were there for a number of years. It seems to have grown a bit more into the fact that it looks like Graham Potter might be given the role, but he's still but Lopetegui's still there at the moment. There's no official announcements and stuff. How is it with dealing with chairmen at times like this, where do you know as a manager sometimes, well, I think they're interviewing other people about this. You just get to hear occasionally.
I had that.
Are they a disrespected bunch? Football managers,
yeah, I mean,
the way they're treated.
Oh, for sure. I mean, in his case, there, I suppose he's in a situation, Gary, maybe, where he's thinking, okay, if I refuse to go in and don't take training, he's going to get a payoff, isn't he? He's probably got a year's money to come if he gets a sack. So he'll probably take his year's money and go back to Spain or wherever, and work somewhere there or whatever he does. Maybe if he doesn't go in and honour his contract and take the training and refuse, maybe there'd be a case then, oh, well, you broke your contract. And so I suppose he's kept his head down for, okay, I'm going to go. I know that I'm going to, but it is disrespectful, I mean, how can you be, but I've had it, I had it at Tottenham at the end, I had never had a clue. I was completely out of the blue to me. We finished 4th in the league. And
that must have been.
Oh, I couldn't believe it,
You were doing a great job at Spurs.
It was going great. I mean, we finished 4th and, we'd chained the Champions League. Then Chelsea got to the final of the Champions League that year, finished 6th in the league. And then Jamie said to me, Graham Souness, we fancy coming over to Munich to watch the game. I thought, well, Chelsea won't win at Bayern Munich. It's in Munich Stadium. Bayern Munich were a fantastic team. I thought, yeah, okay, we're going to go home. Graham had a pal with a private plane out of Bournemouth. We're going to get the plane, land on the runway. He's got a car to pick us up. We're going straight to the golf course, play golf, go out for dinner that night, go to the game next day. I can watch the game in the box with the boys. Yeah, to Chelsea. But so when they won, it was like disaster. I had to walk around the pitch at the end.
You're English. You're supposed to cheer the English.
No, they kept. I'd gone from I knew what was coming. I've got from qualifying from Champions League to suddenly now Chelsea have got in the. Of
course, that's
because
right.
they won it. They won it. They finished 6th in the league. So now I've got to walk around the pitch. They kept us in. They kept the Chelsea crowd in. At the end of the game, I walked around the pitch with Graham Souness and all the Chelsea crowd in unison sung to me Thursday night Channel 5. It was like League. So the Europa League. So that was, and then I got back home, and then suddenly someone said to me, I don't know if you know, but Daniel's had a meeting with one or two, and he mentioned a couple of managers at the time that he'd been meeting with, and suddenly that was it, gone.
So did you go in and confront him then when you heard those rumours? And saying, well, what's going on here?
Yeah, what's happened, what's going on with... it was a real swing. We were at the Christmas. We'd had a Christmas. He took us all out Christmas time, Daniel, and the staff, and my staff, and a couple of directors, and spoke, and made a presentation of me and spoke. So Joe Jordan said that, in fact, we came out and Joe Jordan said to me, Harry, they say Daniel's got no feelings. He certainly showed some feelings towards you. The way he spoke about you was fantastic, and a few months later I was gone. So it was quite a shock, But suddenly that was it.
He must have played for some interesting, whether you call them chairmans or CEOs or whatever they are. I would think it's a constant battle with them. For sure. Whether it's trying to get a player in. And the interference levels, I understand, are probably more than possibly fans think?
Oh, some clubs for sure,
Yeah.
Gary. Some clubs would be.
Have you had it?
Not too bad. Listen, I'm sure he tried harder if he fancied a player. He had the word from his pals, you know, that, yeah, look, he's... But he never... I found him okay. I've got to be truthful, you know, to work. Because I think Joe Lewis was... Obviously, Joe was massive at the club, or he owned the club. So, but no, I was fine with Daniel in the main. You know, we got on fine, really. I really did. But there are certainly clubs where I know that chairman, you know, they pick and choose the players. You know, they've got their own sort of scouts, if you like, and, you know, recruitment people. And so the manager's got no... And you're only as good as a manager as the players, aren't you? We can all kid ourselves about what managers can do. You know, good players, if you've got good players, you've got a chance, haven't you?
Yeah, it's ultimately
Ultimately,
about the quality. Isn't it? I mean, obviously, coaches.
Of course.
You can see the really great ones. Say Pep Guardiola, how he improves individuals within the team, and they all seem to improve.
Absolutely.
But by and large, the teams with the most money finish.
The good
and
players,
spend it wisely. Finish
every year you can more or less. I know this year maybe Forest might buck the trend, finish in the top 6, but normally you can name the top 6, can't you? Leicester did it. Obviously, it was incredible what they did that year. But in the main, it's the same teams every year. They've got the best players, the best squads, haven't they? And that's the way it tends to work, you know.
You were the last English managers to win a trophy.
Yeah.
Still, 2008.
I know,
Portsmouth,
it's
when you won
scary,
the
isn't
FA
it?
Cup, which is an amazing achievement.
Yeah.
What is...
I don't know. They don't.
Coaches and managers.
I'm sure there's some good lads in the lower divisions, Gary, given the opportunity, could do fantastic. But they don't get the chance, do they? It's sort of all foreign owners. There's very few British owners now. You know, all the clubs are owned by foreign owners. And so they come in. Even I was, you know, Bournemouth. I got to Bournemouth every week. Gary O'Neill was doing a fantastic job at Bournemouth. And then suddenly, okay, the guy who's come in's done an even better job. But, you know, at the time you thought, well, how can you sack Gary O'Neill? What a job he's doing. But they've all got someone in mind, haven't they? Somebody, you know, recommends.
Do you think perhaps it's down to identity? So if you get German coaches, you know what you're getting, don't you? You get the gegenpress and the high and the intensity levels. If you go with the Spanish coach, you also not know what you're getting, the pressing and the keeping the ball and passing it around and stuff. What is an English coach's identity? Because I think we've gone from a stage, obviously, and probably the quality of the pitches was important and how we taught our youngsters to play and also, and it was a very direct football, wasn't it? Very long ball stuff. Probably necessarily so because of conditions. But perhaps English coaches not seen as having an identity. And now probably that's changing a bit with the younger coaches starting to play, you know, like Eddie Howe and Russell Martin starting to play with the building up with the ball. Do you think that's perhaps been part of the problem?
Probably, but I mean, the problem you have as well, though, when you say Russell Martin, you know, he's tried to play that way and got crucified, you know, but it doesn't matter. Our Russell Martin that played at Southampton, they were going to go down.
They haven't got the players.
The players ain't good enough. You can do. They've got a new guy come in, and they've got beat 5-0 on by Brentford last week. He came and said, "No, we're not going to play this way. We're going to play, you know, mix. We have to play slightly different. We're going to maybe go longer." But they're not good enough, the players. No. So that is the problem. It doesn't matter how you play, and I think everybody. Even the English coaches, you've got your own identity, how you like to play. Yeah. Sean Dyche plays a certain way.
And others play a different way, which is sort of my point, really.
Yeah, I mean, I love to play, you know, I loved attacking teams. I play with 2 wingers. Where if I had them, I can't play with 2 wingers if I haven't got good wingers. But I'd say go to Tottenham, and I've got 2 fantastic wingers in Bowen and Aaron Lennon. So it's right up my street, you know. They're set up for me, lovely. But if you haven't got them, you've got to adjust to how you play, obviously. But so I think everyone's got their own, you know, Sam Allardyce and people like Sam had Sam was much more forward thinking, what people give him credit for, wasn't he, Sam? You know, as a manager, when you look, he was probably the first one doing all the stuff now that we read about, you know?
Yeah. Okay, fascinating stuff. Let's take a break and we'll talk more things management when we come back. We're in the transfer window now. You're the epitome of the transfer window manager, aren't you? That leaning out.
Don't.
Do you miss leaning out the car window?
No. Do you know what? It was funny. People say that to me. I used to feel sorry, Gary, for the people they'd be there at 7 o'clock in the morning and it's raining and they're out there freezing cold, January,
ignored.
And being ignored, driving through a puddle, splashing them. And so they've got a job to do. And I swear, I'd stop and talk to them. You know, I didn't want, it was no games for me to talk to them, but they had a job. Just, you know, at least they've got something to send back to the studio and they've got had a bit of an interview with me or whatever. So that was the reason. I always tended to go into clubs where we were struggling. That's why you get the job, isn't it? You go into a football club. I walk into Tottenham because Tottenham had good players, but for whatever reason, they couldn't win a game the first 8 games of the season. So I walk into a team that's struggling. So you might have to, although at Tottenham, I didn't really bring too many players in because I felt that we had the nucleus of Bale was there, Modric was there, you know, good players, Lennon was there. So it wasn't so bad. But normally you go in and you've got to do something because unless you think you're, you know, a genius who can suddenly turn a team at the bottom of the league into a top 6 team, you've got to, you know, the players are obviously not good enough or there's a problem with them somewhere and you need to change one or two. And
when you need to change something, what's it like that this period, particularly the January transfer window where not that much happens? What's the vibe like between you and perhaps the chairman and all that? Can it get a little bit stressful?
It can when you know you need some help and you need some players, yeah. I mean, at Tottenham, Daniel loves this win. He loves it.
Yeah,
Daniel
he loves the last minute bit, doesn't he?
He loves a deal, doesn't he? You know, buy one, get one free. That's his game, isn't it? You know. Yeah. I mean, I went there when I was at Portsmouth. You know, I went back to Portsmouth and from Southampton, and Portsmouth was stuck at the bottom of the league, you know, and I went back and I really did take over the worst team I'd ever taken. I left a really good team behind, and all them lads had been got rid of, and they bought in loads of new players from God knows where.
Just for those that don't know, you returned to Portsmouth
after Southampton. Yeah,
after Southampton.
Yeah, I went from Portsmouth to Southampton which wasn't a clever move.
And I don't think the Portsmouth fans appreciated you.
No, they didn't. No, that was a very difficult time. And then went back to Portsmouth and took over a team that was really struggling. And then went down. Funny enough, went to meet Daniel, trying to sign Darren Anderson. And came away with Pedro Mendes, Noe Pamaro and Sean Davis instead.
How did that happen?
Well, Darren was
not available.
He I don't know. I don't want to, but he had a fantastic contract apparently. You know,
right, fair enough.
Yeah, no one could earn more than him or something. And I think Klinsmann came and suddenly, so he was out of our reach. And then we end up, Daniel's, you know, started saying, well, if you take these two, you can have this one for nothing. And I thought, all 3 of them are better than anything I've got. Yeah. So I ended up taking the 3 of them. You know, the chairman was up for it and he'd done us a special one of Daniel's special deals. And they came in and did fantastic for me, all 3 of them. So, and they kept us up.
Yeah. I mean, what's your best story in the transfer window?
Oh my God! I don't know. Peter Odemwingie was a story.
QPR then, weren't you? When he was, was he in the car park or something?
Well, what had happened? We're trying to get the deal done, and it was, you know, we were struggling at QPR, and I'm talking to Peter's agent, you know, and I'm saying, look, time's running out. You know, the chairman at West Brom wouldn't budge on the price. He wanted to sell him, but so now we're playing poker with each other. You know, my chair, you know. So I thought, well, they've got to give. He wants to sell him, you know. They're gonna, but it's dragging on and on and on. So I said to Peter's agent, look, get him down here because we haven't even spoke terms. You know, we've got to get him here and get it done before. So come down here, plot up somewhere nearby. At least you're in the area. And I was sitting watching Sky Television and went there with the chairman. Suddenly, the Sky cameras pick up Peter Odemwingie getting out of a car, walking into Cubic. Oh, Peter Odemwingie's arrived there at Loftus Road. He's obviously signing. And their chairman's watching it in West Brom. Yeah. And so that was the end of that transfer. Peter Odemwingie was back up the road. Yeah. And he wouldn't budge, the chairman. No. So
brilliant.
He had to go back there and play, which wasn't easy for him as well.
Who's the best player you've ever signed?
Probably, I would say, Paolo Di Canio. It was the boldest signing I ever made.
Is he as bonkers as was
made
out?
He's bonkers, but he's a genius.
Yeah.
He was fantastic, Gary. I used to love watching him play. I'd watched it on TV, Celtic. I'm watching Celtic play, and he's like a little kid in the playground. He's taking throw-ins. He's running around, wants to do everything, you know? And then he obviously went to Sheffield Wednesday, and I would go to Sheffield Wednesday, and he'd do things against us. I mean, I used to say, wherever he is in that final third, the nearest man, latch on to him. Do not leave him until we get possession back. And I just thought he was so good. And then obviously when he pushed the referee over, Mr. Alcock, and you know, and he became available, I remember saying to Terry Brown, the chairman at West Ham, I said, we've got to get a striker. We can't score. You know, we were struggling. He said, yeah, Harry, we do. We need somebody for sure. You know, I said, I want to take Paolo Di Canio. I'll never forget it. He went like.
Put his head in his hands.
No, anybody but him. Anybody. I don't care who you say. Please, not Di Canio. I said, he's fantastic, Terry. He'd be brilliant. The crowd would love him. You know. Oh, please, Harry. Anyway, he backed me, to be fair, and he was a genius. But he was high maintenance.
Was
he?
In
Oh,
what way?
He was a fantastic trainer. His body, he didn't drink. He ate the right foods. You'd been out, you know.
The absolute opposite of high maintenance.
Yeah, no, but he's also, when he came, he wanted everybody else had to be, he couldn't understand. I've got Razor Ruddock, you know, he'd knock on my door. Boss, Razor Ruddock, we are warming up this morning. He's there. Oh, last night I drank 14 pints and had 3 kebabs. You have to speak with him. Yeah, okay, Paolo, don't worry.
Yeah.
But, you know, he'd come in the morning. If he'd had a bad night, I think if his missus, the spaghetti wasn't up to standard, he'd come in next day, you know. I could hear him. He'd walk past my office and boot the door. This place is shit out, you know, this place here. And then if he's in a good mood, he'd come in, had the sunglasses on. He'd look like $1 million, lovely suit. Singing Volare or something, he'd come in and you knew he's okay today, you know. But I used to have to hand-pick the teams. I'd put him on a team in the morning with Stuart Pearce on his team, Stevie Loman. Anyone who might boot him would be on his team. Because if anyone kicked him, it would go off. If you kicked him, he'd fight you, you know. So I used to have to hand-pick the teams. In fact, I remember Johnny Moncur saying to me one morning, he said, that missed a goal. I said, no, it's a goal. He went, oh, okay, yeah, it's Paolo. He said, fair enough, because he knew like we had to just keep him happy. Monday to Friday, keep him happy.
Even if he hit one wide?
Hit one wide, give him a goal.
Cool,
you know,
it was so coach I want to play for.
He was, because Saturday he could go out and win the game for me. If he was right, you know, he was just that good. Yeah. And I absolutely loved him. But he was a gamble, as I say at the time, because of his history and everything else, but the fans they loved him at West Ham. He'd be, if you asked the West Ham fans, he'd be in their all-time best team for sure. You know,
often are when I spoke to West Ham fans.
Yeah.
What's the most difficult aspect of being a coach?
Obviously, you know, picking teams, Gary, is always, you know, you've got a group, you've got half of them that. You know, they love you when they're playing, they hate you when they're not, don't they?
Yeah.
Their wives hate you, the kids hate you, their mums and dads hate you. You know, it ain't a lot of fun, is it?
But you've got to leave people out, haven't you?
When you're leaving people out. You know, I've had some funny ones with people that I've left out, you know, who just don't want to, you know, don't want to sit on the bench, you know, and suddenly that can be it's hard work, you know. I used to walk in a dressing room and you'd say, okay, Gary, can I see you a minute? You know, and they'd go out and you'd explain why they're not playing. John, can I see you a minute? But in the end, I thought, this is ridiculous. So at start, listen, anyone not playing, come see me on Monday. This is the team I picked. This is the team that's going to win today. We're all in it together. You know, if you've got any problems, I'll talk to you on Monday. Just let's all concentrate on the game. Because all that once you take someone out there, he's not playing, you know, that was how it was back in the day, you know?
Yeah. I think it's probably...
Yeah.
Even though the squads are bigger now, there's more rotation. I still think there's probably, you know, and also I suppose within that you can get players that can be a bit poisonous of the dressing room and make life difficult for you.
Do you know what I found? I found that I knew the team of the opposition every week from somebody at the other club.
That wasn't inside at the front.
It shocked me.
Really?
When I was at Portsmouth, it came to, first game of the season, Notts Forest. Nigel Quasi, they're playing 3 at the back today. Are they? I thought they played with a 4. No, they're playing a 5. And he gave me the team. One of his mates who's not in the team, not Forest, had told him. And then every week, the same thing happened. Someone would come in, he's not playing, they're playing, you know, he's not fit, he's out, he's playing here, he's doing... I found it strange. Yeah. And then you think, hang on, do I show my hand today on Thursday and Friday? Because are they... You know, how we're going. Obviously, it goes on. It must have gone on an awful lot everywhere. When I found it really strange, I didn't realise that I'd never realised that was going on.
And that'll be because players out the side don't want their team to win, so they can get back in the side.
Of course, they've all got the ump. Yeah,
got the ump.
Got the ump with you, hate you.
Yeah. Do you ever think managers got you out of a role or played a significant part in perhaps you quitting?
Other managers?
By the players. Do you think there's ever been a situation where it's caused you that kind of issue?
No, I don't. Not that I can. You never know, do you?
Yeah.
Players have got the ear of the chairman now.
Mm.
Agents have.
Agents is another aspect of the game. That must
I'd gone to Tottenham. I'd only been there 3 weeks. Got off to a good start. Went to beat Bolton. Went to Arsenal and drew 4-4. And so, then I get a phone call from a reporter. Said, Harry, I got a report from someone said you've lost a dressing room. I said, I've only been here 3 weeks. I lost a dressing room. I didn't even know I had it.
Hadn't found it yet.
No, I hadn't found it yet. So I said, yeah, really? So I said, who's it? He said, well, it's come from an agent. So I guessed 2 players who weren't happy that I'd left out. And I knew who their agent was. So I straightened up. He said, you should be a private detective. I had it spot on. He was just trying to cause a problem, get an article in the paper about the players weren't happy with something or whatever. And that's how it is, I've had players, again, ring their agent, been left out, they've rung the chairman, while the team's out having a warm-up. They've been left out of the squad. They're on the phone to their agent who's ringing my chairman to tell them, the manager don't know what he's doing or whatever.
You need good chairman in those
situations,
don't you?
But they do talk more, Gary, now than, they become, haven't they? It's very, very different now. And a lot of them do mix, they've all got agents on the firm who they deal with most of the time, and they've got players. And it's not like, it's very, very different.
What would you say the best piece of advice would be to maybe a footballer who's just finishing his career, wants to go into coaching and management?
Well, I mean, it's so difficult, isn't it? But you've obviously got to get your coaching badges first now, and it's become very difficult.
It takes time.
It takes time. When I did it, it was a 2-week job at Lillishall. You went to Lillishall to take your full coaching badge, and you were there 2 weeks. And you either got it or you didn't get it, and the chances were, if you was an ex-player, you had a good chance of getting it. They wanted to, but that was. But now, I mean, it's a long drawn out. So many different processes you've got to go through, haven't they? And exams and everything. But you need a break, don't you? Somewhere, someone sees something in you and gives you a job. But don't give up. If you love it, get into it. And it's a great, coaching. I love it. And I love. People always thought, oh, Harry's a wheeler dealer. I love coaching. I was a football. That was what I enjoyed. That was the best part of it.
We've talked a lot about the difficult sides of being a manager. And I've often wondered, crikey, why do they do it? What is it about it? What's so addictive about it?
Well, you've only got to look at the moment. I mean, Wayne Rooney. Wayne doesn't have to do it.
No, but Frank really loved it.
Frank doesn't have to do it.
Yeah.
Frank does it. And they want to be successful and they want to do it. But what I would say, the bit of advice I'd give any of them is go to a club where you've got a chance to do something. Don't go to a club, because there's nothing more that people like than to see a top player
do well.
Fail. Fail.
Yeah.
They love it. Suddenly Wayne Rooney, he's not a football manager. Frank Lampard, whatever. They love it. Steven Gerrard, they love it. All when you're a good player, they love to see you. That's sad, but that's...
Who's they?
Well, the press, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
The press and lots of times.
That's down to jealousy of stuff.
Yeah, jealousies
and stuff.
And lots of times, different people cut me out. Rooney's. That's what he's unfortunately he had apart from having a little go at, but he did all right at Derby. I've spoke to Wayne about the game. He's great on the game.
He is. He really understands.
Understands the game.
But if you're working with players that are not good enough,
of course not.
Harry, I mean, just
he went to Plymouth. And no disrespect to Plymouth. Plymouth's a good club with potential. It's out on a limb, but they can get their 15,000, 18,000 people there. But the players are Division 1 players. They're not Championship. They stayed up last game of the season, and they'll probably almost certainly go down this year. And he's took that job on. I thought, Wayne, you've got no chance there. What are you doing? And sure enough, it fails, and then suddenly it could be the end of him, as a manager.
Yeah.
And Frank's took on a tough job at Coventry.
Does he ask you advice?
No, I spoke to him about it. I said, look, they've just sacked a manager who did a great job, Mark Robbins. Ain't an easy job, Frank.
Been there a few years and done a good job.
Done a good job, done a great job.
Yeah.
So, but no, Frank, he desperate to get in and have a go again. And Coventry has got potential.
What is it that about the job though? What's the absolute buzz that makes people like Frank Lampard and Wayne Rooney and Steven Gerrard
Well, yeah,
and
it's
yourself?
the buzz.
What is it?
It's that buzz of, and also what do you do? And okay, it's different for someone like you. You know, you've made a great career, but what do you do every day when you wake up? You've got to have some kind of. And what do you know apart from what would Wayne know really? So Wayne Rooney, apart from playing football, you know, he came in at 16 in the first team. He's played, you know, and Frank, it's their life playing. And now suddenly you wake up and what am I going to do today? I don't play golf. What am I going to do? You've got to have something to, and being part of a team and going in and trying that buzz of winning.
Is that what it?
The buzz.
That must be amazing.
The buzz is fantastic.
More than when you're a player.
Yes, yeah. You drive home on I used to drive home Saturday night, come in West Ham, and I'd sing. I'd be in the car on my own, singing away. Like people must have thought you're mad, pulling alongside you. You know, oh yes, and you can't wait to go out Saturday night, have a nice glass of wine, bit of foot grub, go out with the wife for dinner. Love it. You know, when you got beat, oh my God.
Yeah. So the highs and lows.
I used to say to my wife, please don't. She never made her go out with anybody on Saturday night. Make her rain, because if we get beat, I'm no good. I can't talk. I can't get out of it. Yeah. And it was sad, really. Mad. It was a shocking way.
Do you sometimes think to yourself,
I know.
Why do I let it affect me so much?
Yeah, that's how it used to get me. I couldn't bring myself around to talk to anybody, Gary. I just want to go to bed. Yeah. And I quite often did just go home and go to bed. It's really quite scary.
Were you ever close to getting the England job? Because there were rumours at one point.
I think, Gary, in betting terms, I was 10-1 on. I was like, I think it was only two Englishmen. It was me and Roy. Yeah. And so it was, and everybody, you know, people were saying to me, Richard Bevan, the chairman of the LMA, and everybody said, look, you know, they'd heard I had the job, you know. And they said Roy wouldn't even go for an interview because he knew that I had it. He thought I would get it for sure.
So what happened? What went wrong?
I don't know.
You don't know to this day?
No, never heard. I never got to. I did have whether it was, I did have a buyout clause that was quite horrendous in my contract at Tottenham, where I think whoever took me would have to pay back, because Tottenham paid £5 million compensation to Portsmouth when they took me. So they had to pay that back, and they also had to pay back all the wages that I'd earned in my time at Tottenham. That was part of the deal. It was Daniel done quite a deal there. Right. Strange deal, really. I didn't do it. Someone. But
wouldn't have. Do you think Spurs would have stood in your way?
I don't know. Would Daniel want his money? I don't know. Do you? Yeah. I wouldn't bet against it. But I don't know whether that was a reason. I really wouldn't know, Gary. But no, that was it.
Is that a regret, disappointment?
I would love to have done it. Yeah,
I think we'd love to have
I'd love to have had it. Yeah, I mean, there were some good players, wasn't there? And I'd love to have. I'd have really enjoyed having a go with them.
Was that gut wrenching? Not when you've heard?
Yeah, it was okay, but I was managing Tottenham as well, and I had a good job, good team. But the unfortunate thing, about 5 months later, I never had any job. So it was quite a strange finish, really.
Cheers, Daniel.
I've gone from having taking my choice of two jobs, probably thinking, oh, do I stay or do I go and manage England, to suddenly managing Albion and whoever.
Well, yeah, how the mighty fall.
Yeah.
What was your happiest time in management?
Probably Bournemouth.
Yeah,
great time. My first 9 years, no training pitch. I was laughing with someone the other day. We were talking, going to play York away on a Wednesday night, Darlington away on a Saturday. Saying to the chairman, "Can we stay up, chairman? You know, York. Time we get back from York, it'll be 3 o'clock in the morning. We've got to go back to Darlington and play. Can we stay up?" No, Harry, we can't afford to stay up. Hotel, coach. So me and my assistant, Keith Williams at the time, we hired 2 minibuses. We went to a little old company in Bournemouth. We had 2 old green minibuses, and Keith got on the phone and we booked a couple of little guest houses where we could get 3 in a room, 4 in one room. We took like 13 players for the 2. You only had 1 sub, so we took 13 players up, and we stayed. We won at Darlington on the York. So we played York first. Played York, beat York on a Wednesday night. Went to Darlington. I pull in at Darlington. I'm driving the minibus. I'm the manager of Bournemouth, it's the old 3rd division. And Mum is beyond. "Hello, mate. Got the team on me." He went, "Oh yeah, all right." He thought it was a wind up, you know. And one at Darlington, one at York, one at Darlington. Sung all the way home. Stopped the fish and chips. Incredible days, you know. The fantastic. No training ground every day. Getting thrown off, training in the park in Bournemouth near the football ground, and getting thrown off by the park keeper. That's how it was, you know.
Well, it's come full circle, really, hasn't it? With Specsavers' best worst team.
Yeah.
So, when can we see you on the touchline?
Well, we can follow it on YouTube,
Yeah.
and so I'm back up there again next week. So
Next week.
yeah,
Yeah.
another game. I was there the last game. It rained non-stop, Gary. I swear, you know, for 90 minutes, I just stood there, no cover, no umbrella,
Oh no.
just got soaked.
Yeah.
But and we played quite well. We only.
You just didn't want to be the Wally and the Brolly, did you?
No, I didn't. That was it. I said, I'm not going to be the Wally and the Brolly. No one's ever going to do that again, are they?
You can see managers now getting
No,
soaked thinking,
don't do that.
Steve McLaren, you're to blame for this.
Don't do that, whatever you do.
Yeah. So it's been fun, yeah? And it will be fun
Yeah,
this season.
it'd be great. Yeah, it'd be
All right.
good fun. I've enjoyed it. It's great meet. The lads love the football, and so that's it.
Well, that's what it's all about.
Of course.
Whatever level you play at, isn't it,
Absolutely.
Harry?
Get out and play.
Whatever.
Yeah, brilliant.
Thank you so much. It's been an absolute
Pleasure,
delight spending
Gary.
time
Great
with
talking to you.
So that's this week's episode. We'll see you without a brolly.
Yeah, definitely.
You can follow that on YouTube this week. Search Specsavers' best worst team. That's it for this week's episode of The Rest is Football. Goodbye from me.